All right, welcome to this explainer. The 2026/27 Fantasy Premier League season is literally right around the corner. And looking at the data from the past year, we're facing an absolutely massive challenge. I mean, how on earth are we going to fit these record-breaking, historically expensive players into our Game Week 1 drafts without completely tanking our squad depth? It's kind of the ultimate resource allocation puzzle. But don't worry, today we're going to figure it out together. Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for solving the FPL resource allocation puzzle. We'll start with record breakers and prices, then we'll get into mastering the midfield engine, and finally, we'll wrap up with optimal FPL team structures. So, Section 1, record breakers and prices. We have a very distinct problem this season. The game's premium assets are putting up these astronomical numbers that make them, well, utterly impossible to ignore. Take a look at this number, 27. That is how many goals Erling Haaland smashed in during his insanely dominant 25-26 season. And what's really terrifying for opposition defenses, and honestly absolutely crucial for us as FPL managers, is that an incredible 26 of those 27 goals came from inside the box. Oh, and 24 of them, non-penalty goals. His close range efficiency is just, it's lethal.
But here's the thing, Haaland isn't the only premium asset demanding our budget. He's predicted to hold that massive 14.0 million price tag after those 27 goals. And right below him, Bruno Fernandes, who is expected to see a huge price hike to 12.0 million. Why? Well, because last season, Bruno broke the all-time Premier League single-season record with an astonishing 21 assists, racking up over 200 FPL points in the process. These record-setting performances absolutely justify those premium price tags, for sure.
To understand just how dominant Fernandes was, look at the chances created in the 25-26 season. Bruno generated a staggering 136 chances. The next closest player, Dominik Szoboszlai, created just 78. I mean, that is a massive gap in creativity. Plus, 19 of Bruno's assists were what Opta defines as intentional assists. You know, deliberate actions to create a goal. That's almost double anyone else in the league. He was, quite literally, in a league of his own. So, it all boils down to this crucial question. With Fernandes projected at £12.0 million and Haaland at £14.0 million, how in the world do we afford both? Spending $26 million on just 2 slots means massive sacrifices elsewhere. Let's move on and see how this actually builds out our strategy. Moving to Section 2, mastering the midfield engine. If we're going to afford those heavy hitters, we need absolute efficiency across the middle of the park. Because, as the data tells us, midfield is where Fantasy Premier League seasons are won. In 2025-26, 7 of the top 10 individual FPL scorers were midfielders, right? So with 5 slots available and midfielders earning clean sheet points plus extra points for goals, this battleground demands your absolute utmost strategic attention. To conquer this, you really need a structured midfield pyramid. The optimal shape usually involves 2 premiums, so your Salahs, Sakas, or Palmers. Then, you anchor them with 2 differentials in that $6.0 million to $7.5 million bracket. What you want to look for are nailed-on players, meaning, guys with guaranteed starts, who also have a high expected goal involvement, or XGI. Finally, you balance the books with one budget enabler right around $5.0 million to $5.5 million. Basically a player with guaranteed minutes who can steadily tick over and grab you some points. Let's look at some specific targets in that upper mid-tier. On one side, we have Cole Palmer. He's predicted to drop to £9.0 million after a slightly tougher campaign, but actually, scratch that. It might be a blessing in disguise. 0 European football for Chelsea this year means incredibly fresh legs, and he's still on penalty duties, which makes him highly attractive. Now contrast him with Liverpool's Florian Wirtz at an expected £8.5 million. He secured 125 points in his debut season and is set to take on massive creative importance in their brand new system. Honestly, both offer brilliant alternative routes to premium points if you just can't stretch to Salah or Fernandes. Now, how do we approach those budget enablers? Well, we have to factor in an absolute game changer, defensive contribution points, or DEFCON. This is a scoring system that heavily rewards defensive actions like tackles and duels won. It completely, and I mean completely, changes how we evaluate budget players across the pitch. And there is absolutely no better example of this than what we're calling the Elliot Anderson effect. Last season, Anderson started at just £5.5 million. He only scored 4 goals and 5 assists all year. But look at these defense con stats. 103 tackles, 295 total duels won, and 230 ground duels won. That literally led the entire Premier League. Because of that relentless hustle, he finished with a jaw-dropping 180 FPL points.
He's the ultimate Moneyball player, and finding the next $5.5 million Anderson is the golden ticket to unlocking your budget.
Which brings us to Section 3, Optimal FPL Team Structures.
Okay, so it's time to bring all this data together for Game Week 1. The primary dilemma you face is basically this. Option A, the heavy hitter structure. That's Holland, 2 premium mids, and 1 premium defender. The pros, you have an ultra-reliable captaincy rotation. The cons, your bench is paper thin. Option B, you spread the wealth. 4 premium attackers, but no Holland or Salah. Your squad depth is incredible, but I gotta warn you, going without Holland is a terrifying risk. If he starts the season hot, acquiring his 14.0 million price tag later means basically ripping up your entire squad to fit him in.
To balance the books, we're seeing a major tactical shift this season that you definitely need to be aware of. We call it the big at the back revival. Because of those defcon rules we just discussed, 5.0 million to 5.5 million premium defenders are consistently outscoring budget midfielders. I'm talking about players like Murillo, Milinkovic, Lacroix, Munoz, and Tarkovsky. They are absolute must-targets. They aggressively rack up tackles and clearances, making a 4-at-the-back formation highly recommended for the 26-27 season. So, to distill all of this source data down for you, here are your 3 golden structural rules for the start of the season. First, anchor your attack with a 7.5 million priced forward like a Solanke, while Pedro, or Wood. This gives you absolute price flexibility to upgrade or downgrade later. Second, invest heavily in those 5.5 million DefenCon monsters at the back instead of rolling the dice on weak midfield punts. And third, find a starting 4.5 million budget enabler like Marc Guiu to just sit on your bench and free up that vital cash. Which leaves us with the ultimate strategic dilemma as you go off and tinker with your initial drafts. Knowing the explosive, record-breaking power of Erling Haaland and Bruno Fernandes, are you actually brave enough to build a balanced squad without them? Or will you sacrifice your overall squad depth to guarantee those massive weekly captaincy points? It's the ultimate FPL puzzle, isn't it? Well, thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. Best of luck with your structures, and I'll see you next time.